Good evening, Save Laurel Ridge supporters and non-supporters. I told you guys I would be back with my rebuttal to some of the comments that were made at the Greater Johnstown Water Authority town hall that they hosted. I told you I'd be back Sunday night, Monday morning. Didn't work out. I do have a day job. Great job on getting the word out about this movement. I spent Saturday night at a Christmas party, and everybody was coming up and asking me, hey, what's going on? So fantastic job. Online petition is up to 1,500 signatures, close to 1,500 signatures. Facebook page is up over 400 likes and follows. Online poll in the Tribune Democrat, surprise, surprise, 84% against this project. Now, I have talked to a couple of people that were quote unquote for the project, and it turns out they're for renewable energy. They're not necessarily for putting wind turbines on Laurel Ridge. They're just generally for wind turbines. When it was explained that we're not against wind turbines in general, just where they want to put them, all of a sudden their tone changed a little bit. All right, so into the Greater Johnstown Water Authority. There's three comments that I want to talk about specifically that came from the board. The first one, which is my favorite one, is that State Representative Burns voted against a bill, Bill 794, in 2016. Now, that bill was a tax hike on all rooms rented at hotels in Pennsylvania. There was very little oversight as to how that extra money would be spent, and so he voted against it. Fast forward to 2018 in October, Mr. Burns voted for House Bill 1511, which is essentially the same thing. It closes a tax loophole for Expedia, Travelocity, places like that, and it establishes a fund where that money goes specifically to promote tourism. Now, I guess the authority heard the word tourism come out of Mr. Burns' mouth and decided that that was their moment to jump. Straight out of political science freshman year 101. You know, attack the credibility of the leader and you're onto something, you can stop the movement. The problem with that is on day 2, they tell you that to attack the credibility, you have to be able to prove a pattern of that behavior, which clearly there isn't one because he voted for House Bill 1511. So that's my favorite one. No idea why that was even brought up. The second one comes from another board member that stated that there is no risk. Now here comes the back talk, because later there was statements that said, oh, of course there is a risk, but it's a very low risk, and it's, there's risk in driving your car. There's risk out in that parking lot. Okay, well, which is it? There's no risk or there's little risk? Because here's the thing, if you go on YouTube, you can find images very easily of turbines on fire. You can find images where the braking systems fail, they spin out of control, they fly apart. I spent 15 years in industrial maintenance. Gear cases leak. Trucks leak. Bulldozers leak. And this stuff all wants to be done on a watershed. No risk. You got to be kidding me. There's no risk whatsoever to cutting down all these trees, to causing forest fragmentation, to putting all of these roads in. No risk? You got to be kidding me. Okay? If I'm guilty of overplaying the risk of it, if I'm guilty of not in my backyard, okay, you're guilty of it won't happen to me. Well, yeah, I mean, I know sometimes those things catch on fire, but that won't happen here on the ridge. Especially considering that according to their website, this wind company operates one other wind project in Oklahoma. They're experts. They have a bunch of natural gas plants, one other turbine project in Oklahoma. No risk. None whatsoever. We don't want to live by the windmills, which, again, back talk, he turned around and said, which is a valid point. So he agreed that we have a valid point, even if our only point, which it's not, is that we don't want to live by them. Now, if you think it's a valid point that we don't want to live by them and that we have that right, that tells me that you should have heard public comments on this before you signed the lease, before you signed control of that land over to that corporation. Now, again, there was a third comment where it was specifically stated, well, this isn't an environmental issue, this is a not in my backyard issue. Okay, let's say that that's true. Let's just assume that that is our only point, is not in my backyard. That is my right. That is your right as a citizen. Okay, the way this country works is that you get to live where you want within your means. So everybody that bought houses out this way, everybody that has houses that could see the ridge, everybody that uses the ridge has the right to say, not in my backyard. It's a completely valid point. If that is our only point, which it's not, that is a valid point. That is the reason that townships have zoning laws. There is a reason that even though I live in Upper Yoder Township, that I'm not allowed to build within 50 feet of the road in my front yard, where my dad, who lives in Upper Yoder Township, can't build within, I think it's 10 feet. He's in a different zoning area than I am. Okay? The reason that zoning laws are set up is so that you, the citizens, get to pick what kind of neighborhood you live in. That is your right. If a majority of the citizens decide that they don't want houses built 5 feet from each other, crowding right up against the street, that we're not allowed to build over a certain percentage of our property to preserve the green spaces, and that's our right. We're allowed to say that. The ironic thing here is that Mr. Hall, and I shouldn't call him out by name, but that was the gentleman that said not in my backyard. He is a representative from Westmont. We all know what happens when businesses try to move into Westmont. Why don't we have lights at Price Field? Because people said no night games. That's their right. Just like it's my right to say not in my backyard. All right. Comment below if you think I got something wrong. Like and share the video. Get the word out. Consider joining SOAR. Consider signing the petition. Consider donating to the Legal Defense Fund. Keep it up. We're on a roll here, people. We have to keep moving. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to do a video about a editorial that was in the paper over the weekend that it's kind of irrelevant, but we're going to talk about it anyway. It'll be my response to that editorial. Have a good night. We'll talk to you guys soon.